You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by footballstadiumprints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped!
Yes!
And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot of the goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot.
Goal!
And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
This is your home for the 2025 Heartland Division Champions, Minneapolis City Soccer Club, the Crows, and it is the People's Pitch podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, and with me, as always, is the voice of Minneapolis City Game Day, the Nate Morales. Nate, are you still as charged up as I am about what went down last weekend?
Dude, I keep thinking about different parts of the game all week and just thinking about how excited we were in the booth. The atmosphere, John, was electric, and it was just goal after goal after goal. By the fourth one, I think I just screamed into the microphone excitedly. There was just no words for how amazing it was. And so it's just, luckily it's taken some time to leave my pleasure system, my pleasure sensors. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, as a commentator of the sport, I just was yelling in a microphone every time we scored after the second one. I was just like, "Wah!" And then Dan stepped on my microphone cord and ripped the headphones off my head and almost decapitated me in celebration. I was like, "It's fine, we scored. We're gonna win the title. We're good." But tonight, we're going to recap the wild week that took us to the top of the Heartland Division and take a look at the playoff situation for the Crows as they traveled to Des Moines for the round of 32. It's been a while since we've been in the playoffs, folks. But First, we will talk to City Board member and head of the Citizens, Paul Smejkal.
Yeah, no need to dilly or to dally. It's party time. As a member of Minneapolis City's board, a member of the Citizens, or as a volunteer at futures trainings, city events, our guest tonight is an ever-present face at all things Minneapolis City. Welcome back to the show, Paul Smejkal.
Hey, thanks, guys. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. It's awesome that you're able to take some time out of your evening. It's definitely later than most people want to jump on the pod with us. So this is very cool. So remind us, Paul, how long have you been involved with the Citizens and with the board?
Yeah, I saw my first city game in 2016, and I went to one game, and was that in South Minneapolis, maybe?
Yeah, the Barnyard, South Minneapolis High School.
Yeah, so I saw one game there. I went with a friend, and I didn't sit with the Citizens or anything else, but I just loved what they were doing and everything. And so then 2017, I bought the membership and started going to the games, started hanging out with the Citizens. I actually went to a preseason party for the Citizens and met a whole bunch of the originals. Which was great, and then got on the board a year later for a couple of years, and now just doing the Citizens thing.
Now just the Citizens.
$1 million question, Paul. Did you buy the lifetime membership or do you go season by season?
Season by season.
Okay. I know for a fact there's a handful of lifetime members. But I've only met one.
Yeah, I only know of one. JJ.
Yeah, we know the same one.
Yeah.
Paul,
I like doing this. I like doing the membership every year. I'm a believer in the mission of this club, and so throwing a few dollars for the membership and buying some merch and whatever else to support the club. That I enjoy doing that.
yeah, feels better, I think, and also, I mean, it was very like early Kickstarter vibes, right?
Sure.
When I think we were offering lifetime memberships. I don't even remember how much they were, John. Do you?
It was $300.
Which seemed at the time like insane.
Yeah, almost 10 years later, seems like a really good deal.
I should have put it down. I should have put the money down, man. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you remember from those early days at the Barnyard and like the first season at Edor Nelson? It feels like a long time ago. I mean, it was a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago. And, what I remember most was the passion that the fans had and the passion that the players had. It was contagious. And, I was looking for local soccer. That was my goal. And I found a whole bunch of new friends that had the same idea. And so I just felt like I kind of found my niche, I guess. And what always struck me is the crazy requirements that are put on these players. I mean, they're amazing, but I don't know if everybody understands how much they do to be a part of the club. All of the practices, all of what are they practicing at like 9:00 at night? I mean, that's my bedtime, for God's sake, and those long road trips where you're sitting in a bus all day, you play a game, you eat some cold pizza, and then you get back on a bus. I mean, that's the glamorous soccer life right there,
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's crazy, and I love it, and that's why I appreciate the players so much, and I really appreciate the fans, because we do travel more. I mean, more than most clubs anyway, and I really like that about this club and about the citizens.
Yeah, and anytime you talk to the
how
players,
many fans were at the St. Croix game that I was at with you guys? Maybe like 20.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely. And we probably had 20 or 25 in Rochester as well.
So
which
as
is
far
great.
As the
I mean,
season
nobody
goes,
else is getting that. No other clubs are getting that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No other clubs are getting that. I mean, some clubs don't even get 20 fans. Let's be honest.
Right.
I was
in Rochester. The announcer got tired of us being the loudest people in the entire stadium, so he started leading chants from the PA booth. And every time we would start a song or start a chant, he'd all of a sudden come right over the top of us on the PA and try and start a chant for the Rochester team. It never worked.
That's pretty bush league, if you ask me. But excuse me, got a frog in my throat tonight. So Paul, as far as the 2025 season goes, like you went to more games than both Nate and I combined. But we were all at the home games, and I want to get your take a little bit on like how you thought the season went. I mean, it was obviously a title winning season. We haven't had that in a few years, but like Nate and I are up in the booth for home games. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are your thoughts on what happened in 2025?
Well, from an on-field perspective, I was super stoked. Right, I was not able to travel down to was it River Light was the opening game of the season, I think, or something like that, or it was Sueño at home, wasn't it?
No, Sueño was when their bus broke down. Our kickoff was away was River Light.
Okay, and I expected River Light to be competing for the conference. I think most people did. And what I loved was that last minute tie goal. It
From Jackson
told
on
me
the free kick.
it told me that this club these players had this determination to succeed. When you're hitting something in whatever it was, the 93rd, 94th minute, and how hard they were working.
Mm-hmm.
It told me we had a group of players that was gonna go all out for us all season long. And that's what it proved to be. I mean, we started that season with a series of a couple of ties, but against some of the best clubs in the conference.
Yeah.
And I thought, we're just fine. We're going to get into the meat of the summer when we have all of our players, and we're going to take this thing. I felt that way from, I don't know, late May, that we had a chance to do it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Paul. There was this buy-in early, and it's something that John and I talk about a lot. This idea that it usually takes till the end of the season. There's usually a difficult road trip. In the past, it's been the road trip up to Canada, right, where the team really starts to gel and play well with each other, and really start to play for the badge. And I think you're right. We had that almost right out of the gate here with these guys. And I'll credit, of course, the players to that, for that, but I'll also credit MVB and Casey and the coaching staff of Jo and Tudor to foster that buy-in before the whistle was blown on the first game.
Absolutely. I think the addition of Casey to the team what is a huge difference maker. I'm a big fan of Casey, and I love his parents, by the way. They're fantastic. But him being able to work with Jo, with Tudor, to find the players that they wanted for how they wanted City to play, was just, I think that's the magic that happened even before the season started that put us on the right path.
Yeah. So now that the season's...
agree. And I think you
ahead,
saw it in game one against RKC. That game was just a weird game in general, but obviously we probably could have come away with 3 points that game, but that was kind of the kickoff to the style of play that these coaches wanted to implement it with their first full year at the helm. They came in kind of, as we know, mid-season or after the season had started last year. But that was kind of the coming out party for the style, and it's an at times it seems like it's a possession heavy, we're not going to attack, but how many chances are these players within this system that they wanted really creating? Like, I think we could be scoring 5-6 goals a game.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's an exciting. I love the way we play. I love the speed, the tempo of it. I love the we play very, very deliberately, but there's a tempo that we play with that puts these other teams on their heels a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about this. I have a huge bias for the midfield, and holy cats, do we have a midfield? My gosh, those dudes are incredible. That's a group. Wow. And I think that's, and of course you got, Preston and Jo up front, and Jared and Cole, added to the defensive mix, but it's the midfield for me that is the decider on this.
Yeah. Anyone in particular, Paul, or just like you just love the combo of Swall and Shaw?
We're going to talk about the Citizen Player Awards, but I would love to know Paul's personal favorites.
Yeah.
Jake Swallen this year is my favorite player.
Yeah, he's so good.
He is so good, and he is so smart. And He's not the fastest guy on the field. He's not the strongest. He's none of those things. He is the smartest, I think. And I never played the game, but I get this feeling that the game just moves slower for him, where he can just see and make decisions, that are just all the time. He's breaking up that pass. He's making that pass. He's finding his teammate. It just seems like he's playing at a different level sometimes.
Well, and just sometimes it's just like a quick swivel of his hips, and he's leaving two defenders in the dust. It's nothing flashy.
No, but it's super effective, and I think it's soccer smarts. I think he anticipates what's going to happen 2 or 3 steps down the road.
Yeah. So Paul, the citizens every year, separate from your own opinion, the citizens as a whole vote on player awards. And I know we had one that was presented at the end of the game against Sueño, but really what we want you to do here tonight is walk us through who are the players that won the Citizens Player Awards this year.
Oh, wow. So, we have the Player of the Match award that the citizens vote on. And this year, what we did is we voted in person. Just not as many people are on social media. We always used to do it on Twitter X. So now we do it in person.
That's probably better.
Oh yeah. Oh, we have fun with it. We nominate 3 players. We have some red Solo cups. We write their names on them, and then we've got these little plastic crows, and everybody puts a crow in one of the cups, and that's how you vote. I mean, it's hilarious and it's fun.
That's so great.
And we've had Preston, Jackson, Jake, Shea has been a Player of the Match winner. If we were doing it on the road, we would have voted for Jared Hecht in Rochester because he was a beast. We did. Oh my gosh! Just this last game, Curtis Wagner.
Curtis? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a heck of a game. My gosh. And it's what we're trying to do is show the players that we appreciate their effort, that we appreciate who they are, and that they're there, to. And that brings us then into the year-end award, which is the Golden Crow.
Talk a little bit about the Golden Crow. How did it get started?
That was 2020. It was COVID year. So no season. So we did that 7-on-7 league tournament thing up in Blaine.
That was my last year.
There was a group of the citizens that were going up there every week. Yeah.
I think you played once, John, and you were like, uh-oh.
And
I played twice. One went well, one went very wrong.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of us that went up to watch those, and we were just talking about how much we appreciated the players and the coaches, what they were doing in this crazy weird time where we weren't supposed to go anywhere or talk to anyone. And so he said, we just got to come up with something that expresses our love for the commitment that these guys are showing. And so the Golden Crow, I bought an iron lawn ornament crow and spray painted it gold and glued it on a trophy base. And we gave it to Jonah Garcia in 2020. And why Jonah? What we all loved when we were watching his 7-on-7 team play, he's on the field, but he was absolutely the coach of that team. You could see him coaching players, both his players on his team, and then during breaks and stuff, you could watch him, and he was talking to the players on the other side of the field, and
Wow.
giving them coaching tips. And we just thought, that's great. That's so cool that he
That's
was
classy.
doing that. Yeah. And so that's why we chose Jonah. And after that, it was Max Stiegwert, club legend in my opinion, midfielder, of course. After that, it was Matt Murakami. And we loved Matt because he played on MC2 and kind of grew up into the senior team, and played
All
for us
region
for
at
a number of
PSL?
years. Yeah. Yeah. And then after Matt, it was Wes Lawrence, who was another guy that we saw playing, in UPSL first before he ever made it into the senior team and played for us for a number of years.
Yeah. I remember
And
that
then
was the
after
season
that,
too, where wasn't that the season where we had UPSL, NPSL, and USL2?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And Wes was playing
Yeah.
across NPSL and USL2, and he was just playing his heart out no matter
Oh,
what
yeah.
team he was on the field for.
So
And
are
he was a
there
leader. You could see it. You could see him
Yep.
on the field.
are there like
he wasn't.
requirements
Sometimes he
or
was
like
the captain. Sometimes he wasn't. But he was an emotional leader.
so you've kind of like sprinkled in the answer to my next question. Like, are there core values or certain things that have to be checked off for you guys to nominate and ultimately select a Golden Crow member?
Well, it's really about commitment and passion for the team, for the club that we support. That's what we're trying to recognize. I mean, it's not an MVP award. Not that these players aren't really, really good, because they are. And some of them, I would argue Max Stiegert was the MVP. But, the real thing is showing that commitment and that passion for the club consistently. And so what you're seeing, the guys that have won this have been with the club 3, 4, 5 years. And that's kind of been the thought of the citizens behind this award. It's getting more difficult, right, with USL2 and the changeover of rosters and everything. And so we might have to change our philosophy. I don't know. But right now, we're kind of sticking with that long-term commitment and passion for the club.
I think that is why change anything, Paul, really, because I think we don't really honor that. You can look at the stat sheet that doesn't honor that, right? It's just another way that the fans give back to the players, right? Because they recognize the commitment of the players. So I'm fully behind your philosophy on this award. So this year, who won the Golden Crow?
Daniel Sessler won. The other two players that were nominated were Nick Kent and Tomas Mena. As I told somebody, I felt like I was trying to choose a favorite between my kids. I love those three guys. They're fantastic, and and Daniel won it, which is great. I mean, Daniel was playing in UPSL and playing with the Futures, and then and this year he really kind of broke out, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he's been with us for 4 or 5 years. I can't remember what he told me. I think he said 5. Through Futures program, etc.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I personally voted for Tomas Mena, only because I just loved watching him play in the UPSL for us. He's such a leader on the field, and he was for that UPSL team, and I just love that. So I voted for him, but I'm super happy for Daniel.
I actually voted when you and I were talking. I voted for Justin Oliver. and we had kind of a medium-sized text conversation about coach versus player. But if this award was around when Justin was playing, I'm sure he probably would have picked up a couple.
Funny you mentioned that. So that 2020 year when we did the first Golden Crow, we actually did another award just as a joke, and we called it the Nutmeg Award. And I literally took some nuts, the nutmeg, and glued them together with a hot glue gun and mounted them on a trophy base. And so we gave that to Justin Oliver, was the winner of the Nutmeg Award for just being nasty on the field and nutmegging anybody he could. So I've got a photo of him. I showed it to him the other day, and he just started laughing. I said, "Do you have the trophy?" He said, "Yeah, no,
No. That was at the bottom of his used car at the time. Like,
yeah, that one didn't make the
rolling
move
around
from
on
his
the floor.
college house to his permanent home.
No.
Well, Paul, I got to ask the question: are you going to be in Iowa, or is that just stupid of me of asking? Because you're
I'm going to be in Des Moines, John. Just packing up right now.
Well, awesome, Paul. We really appreciate it. You coming on tonight. We appreciate everything you do. I think that when you're an outsider looking in to Minneapolis City, and you really don't understand what you and what the citizens really do for not only player recruitment, but also game day atmosphere for these guys. And they constantly talk about how it's the fans, it's the engagement, and it really is a differentiator from us to other clubs.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Well, keep it up in Iowa this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, but I know that you guys will bring it hard. But we, again, appreciate everything you and the citizens do, Paul, and go get us 3 points.
Go Crows.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
John, before we get into the game that won us the division, I do think it's worth taking a little bit of time to talk about how, in true Minneapolis City fashion, we cranked up the difficulty level for ourselves in the week leading up to that game. I'm talking, of course, about our trip to RKC last Wednesday and the L that we took on the road. RKC is always a tough trip against a really tough team that looks to recruit guys and that put them right in the mix for a title or a playoff spot every year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Nate, RKC is our ultimate trap game. We talk about with St. Croix being our trap game just because of the familiarity between the coaching staffs and the players and the fact that they're an in-state rival. But for me, it really is RKC because it's a tough trip down to Racine. I mean, we say that now when we're talking about 3 tough trips down to Chicago, but it's a quality side. They had some issues on their own though this season. We've documented it before. We'll bring it up again. They had to forfeit a match against the Dutch Lions, which ultimately ended up being the bottom of the table, and they lost 3 points where that could have put them into the mix before this game for a potential playoff position. So we're looking at that, and then we're seeing across the board in the Heartland Conference, players leaving early because their teams weren't in it, and we saw light rosters to end the season. But that game, light roster or not for the home side in RKC, they brought it, and we. Unfortunately did not. We traveled light. We had some players that weren't available, and as far as starters who went, we had Jack Roach in goal. Jake Swallen had to play center back, and he's a center midfielder, so that's already 1A on the list. Cole Schrage, Ian Shaw, Jackson Kirsch, Joey Tawa,
also played
Morgan Olson, Shea Bechtel, Ms. Harris, Curtis Wagner, and Julian Banks. So we already were missing players like Joe Highfield up top. Preston Kipnusu was injured. You have Bechtel having to play out wide instead of to start the game instead of up top. So it was compound the fact that we're traveling light, players playing out of position. And then from a bench perspective, you had Sessler, Otis Anderson. Preston was on the bench, but was not going to feature unless he absolutely needed to. Bernardo C.B. Rule, Tomas Mena, Elijah Fearing, Sully Twill, Ronan Selbo, and then an addition we picked up literally the day before in Karsten Kowalski, a center back out of Eau Claire that we had some inside intel on, and he was available. So we needed a center back, and he ended up coming in and doing a really good job.
Yeah, I was dismayed to watch this one, John. I'll say.
Well, also the stream sucked. Like,
stream was not great. Yep. The only other, it looked like it was 2 VOs, didn't it?
It
kind of
might
like
have
panning.
Been. It was 2 cameras, and then the one that they kept switching away from was actually the best one, which was tough to watch. And
yeah,
I don't want to get into the fact that, like, come on, guys, you got to level up. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, you got a beautiful stadium. Yeah, so I don't know. Looking back, the only other games that we gave 3 goals away in were away at Sueño, where we lost 3-2, and our opener at home against RKC, where we pulled off the 3-3 draw. But since then, really, we hadn't done this. We just haven't done this. And unfortunately, we dropped 3 goals in a way that felt very much not City. You know, if it was like 3 goals and it was 3 just phenomenal, like, sequences of build up or just individual effort by 1 or 2 players, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But passes directly to the opposition in our defensive third, chaotic defensive pickups, players just switching off. Like, yeah, they were 3 really ugly goals.
Yeah, it was not pretty, Nate. It was not our best game. I hate to do this for the show, but there's nothing really in depth that we can talk about in this game other than the fact that Racine, they found our weakness in the back line, and then they attacked it 3 times. And then at that point, it was always going to be us playing from behind. And we found that the results of that game actually did not matter for the game that we're going to talk about here in a second. But the result of that game meant what type of hill we have to climb. And that's exactly what happened. It stuck us in a bad spot, and we ultimately were able to climb out of it. But it could have been a lot easier for us if that game had gone a little bit different.
Yeah, and that game wasn't all bad, John, because there was one player in particular who kept us in it. We had goal scorer Mizael Harris on that, and not only did Miz score our lone goal, but I think he hit the post with another. Could have brought us level at the time. I think he was probably the most dangerous player in the first half for us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was another near miss that he had on a nice play where he kind of cut inside from the left and hit a shot with his right foot that narrowly missed. You mentioned he hit the crossbar. So this game could have easily been level if Miz was on the mark. They had zero answer for him, but ultimately the 3 first half goals were something that we couldn't come back from, and they're a tough team. Like, regardless of if it's their top 11 or if it's the bottom half of their roster, they put together a good team. That organization knows how to do it, and we've seen they're a danger spot for us every season. And ultimately, their season ended basically after that game. They had one more, but that was pretty much it. They had nothing to play for after that.
Yeah, Mizael always seems to turn it on late, doesn't he, John? I think the same thing happened last year. Which is good for him as he goes into, his Augsburg season. I think last year he had he was pretty solid from a MIAC statistics point. But this trend of Mizael Harris figuring out, how to contribute late in the season was a great one that carried forward into our game on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And after City dropped points in Racine, losing their only their second game of the season, everything was on the line. And City was in second place, 3 points behind Sueño, who was entering into Edor Nelson Field. And we had a 2-goal differential that we had to overcome. And that was, I just mentioned it. It was because we didn't do our job in Racine.
Yep, totally. So we needed to win by 2 goals. That's the only way we could have won the division. Hey man, at least it wasn't 3, which was a difficult assignment against a really strong offensive team in Sueño. This is a team that we just saw beat RKC the week before, down to 10 men, still beat them. So compound that with some personal nerves about us being without Joe Highfield, Heckenlabel, and Shaw. That was pretty high. So, there was definitely a little worry going into this. I didn't have, I was kind of like just going to go with the flow. Like whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to enjoy this game because the season's been great and we still made the playoffs, right? But goalkeeper for the day was Sessler. We had nice center back trio of Wagner, Hecht, and Kent. Jake Swallen back in his preferred position at the 6. And then Jackson Kirsch dropping back to the 8, where I think he mentioned earlier in the season that's where he's a little bit more comfortable.
That's where he plays in college.
Yeah, not usually used to playing the 10. Because Morgan Olson was deputized to play the 10. So Kirsch takes over Ian Schall's spot. Morgan Olson slots in to the center attacking mid position. We had 2 strikers up top with Shea Bechtel and Julian Banks. Preston was a late scratch on the evening, so Shea steps in, and that worked out. And then on the wings, we had Messiah Harris and Bernard Asibi Rule. And the bench was Roach, Jack Roach, Otis Anderson, Joey Tawa, Elijah Fearing, Sully Twill, Ronan Selbo, Tomas Mena, Ondieki Mena, and Preston Kipnusu. Solid. I mean, this is one of those things where, like, at this point in the season last year, John, it was who's still around, who's getting called up from UPSL. Let's just try to finish the season strong. And in this case, it's like, this is, for the most part, a first choice. It could have been a first choice roster any other week.
For sure.
I was really happy 100%.
With it. And I think we talked about the roster depth and throughout the whole entire season and the quality at every position. And that it's a testament of the work that was done on the recruiting end by Casey and by the coaching staff.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the start of this game did not go
classic City fashion.
Yep. Classic City did not go City's way. I think it was, for the first 7 minutes, 10 minutes or so of the game, it was, there was definitely some worry. I think it was all Sueño to start, and it was just too much possession to give them in our third. Eventually, Easton Bogard puts a nice double move, jukes his defenders, calmly slots one home, and it's 0-1. And now we need 3 goals, John.
Well, I mean, I told you the quality that these guys had when I saw them down in Chicago. I mean, right? Like they were good all over the field. But what I saw was like the tactically all over the place and like constantly going long ball after long ball after long ball, and you're hitting that ball into 3 center backs that are 6'3" plus. Like it just wasn't working. But then they put the ball on the deck, and they were extremely dangerous once they did that, based off of all the individual talent that they have.
Yeah. But I mean, all credit to Minneapolis City. 3 minutes after they go down 0-1, they really turned it on, John, and City answers. They got down the field. They started getting down the field more consistently, almost immediately. And Curtis Wagner, who I tip my hat
player
to.
Watch?
Talked to Paul. Yeah, it was player to watch. Paul said that he was the
man of the
Crow.
match.
Yeah, man of the match from the Citizens. Man of the match, I mean. And I, he was phenomenal. But he finds himself in an advanced position. He puts a cross in that nobody defended, and Shea Bechtel was there for his second header this season. It was 1-1. I think that Paul, if Shea didn't get a piece of it, there were 2 other players that were
no
ready
one
for
marked in the box from Sueño.
Yep. Crazy, and that's exactly what we needed. So all of a sudden, okay, City's back at it, and that was the first, John, of 4 unanswered goals. They really woke up from that early wake up call at 16 minutes, just 2 minutes later. Minneapolis City with their feet on the gas, a nice shot ripped into a dangerous area, which was deflected out wide. So it was Messiah Harris, right, who cuts in, is dispossessed, at kind of the top of the 18-yard box in the corner, but Shea Bechtel is there to pick it up, and he takes a shot immediately that bounces, like just slams off of a Sueño defender and starts going to the end line. Shea chases it, and I think he leaves one or two Sueño defenders on the turf as they try to slide tackle in. Just the moves that Shea was able to bust out last week on Friday were, I've never seen anything like it out of him. It was phenomenal. He puts a shot back in. It ping pongs around in front of net, and Harris is right there on the touchline to put it in. Masiel Harris with another big goal for Minneapolis City late in the season, and it's 2-1. The boys are buzzing, man.
And then you talk about the rest of the goals. Then Shea comes back, or Jackson Kirsch comes back after a bout of 3 corners in a row and puts one in, essentially own goal to go up 3-1.
It was absolutely an own goal. I think that was going to be. I mean, I think that could have gone in. That looked like it was going to be Olympico. Yeah, but I gave
it to him.
You gave it to Kirsch.
He earned it.
I watched that goal at 0.25 speed. And it in real time, it really looked like the kid just kept his hands in front of him and tried to bonk, knock the ball out. But no, it bounced off of him and over the touchline, and that was 3-1. Holy shit, this is it. We did it, right? These are the 2 goals we needed. And yet City was not done, John.
No, then Shea Bechtel pops up again. What a day he had. I mean, we'll talk about our man of the match, or perhaps men of the match, here in a second. But Shea gets a ball slotted in from Masiel Harris once again, just does a little hip shimmy and leaves even more players in the dust, and then just slots a calm finish with his left foot into the back of the net. And then now you're looking at 4-1 into the half, and it's just holy shit, did we just do it?
We might have. And it feels like we might have. I mean, we were, like I said, John, after that 4th goal, I just screamed into the mic to announce the goal. I couldn't do anything more than that. My brain was in overload. The way that Shea, first of all, the way that he was able to freeze those defenders, he froze 4 defenders, John. If you watch the replay, it's not only does he freeze the first guy coming at him, there's someone that comes at him from kind of behind and to his left that for some reason just doesn't go in for the tackle, doesn't step in, holds off. Then there's
he takes the extra touch.
Yep, he takes the extra touch, freezes the 3rd and the 4th defender in front of him and slots it home. On one hand, phenomenal work from Shea Bechtel. On the other hand, what are those defenders doing? They just stood there and watched him.
Yeah, they had to deploy due to not a full roster. They had to deploy three new central defenders, and the players they were missing were very, very good. The ones that I saw in the first meeting, but regardless, what Shea was able to do to kind of have that momentary pause to freeze the last guy, the goalkeeper had no chance. He basically just walked it into the corner. But then at the half, we're like, holy shit, we could do this. Second half rolls around. Sueño went in and into the locker room and figured out something, Nate, because they came out ball dominant, waves of attack. It was the back line of Kent, Wagner, and Hecht. It was just on their skates to begin the half, and Sueño pulls one back, and then it's like, holy shit, we're gonna actually do it again.
We can still do this. We can still do this. Yeah, John, I want to ask. So there was some subs before that. That goal was in the 64th minute, and just a little bit before that, the coaches deployed Otis Anderson and Preston Kipnusu in place of Morgan Olson and Julian Banks. And for me, it's like, okay, you put Preston in, who's a big body, who's going to terrorize those center backs even more, right? Which is a good decision. And then instead of Morgan, meanwhile, Julian actually had a great game leading up to that.
Really great.
But
got
I think
pulled down and should have been a penalty.
Yep. And then he started getting beat up a little bit, and you could tell he was a little rattled physically. So they pulled him, put Preston on. Morgan gets pulled instead of in place of Otis Anderson. I liked that move because it adds extra defense in the midfield. But what were your thoughts on like sub strategy for the second half before and after that 64th minute Sueño goal?
I think before it, we saw Morgan Olsen at the 10, like really applying pressure and not allowing the defensive center midfield for Sueño to find the line breaking passes. And then you insert Otis, who has a little bit more of a defensive mindset. I think what you lost was the energy to shut off the spigot in Morgan Olsen, and you got Otis, someone who it maybe reads more passing lanes and defends 1v1 a little bit better, deeper. But I thought what happened was, and I mentioned on the broadcast, was that goal was a result, and Otis, if you're listening, I'm not picking on you, but I kind of am. It was a result of Otis not tracking back and marking his man quick enough, and then he was able to slot home a header, an unmarked header. But the reason why that happened was because I thought that like the midfield three of Olsen, Kirsch, and Swallen had kind of figured out the marking, and then you insert Anderson into it and you remove Olsen. They hadn't yet figured out who goes when, who covers which space, and then Sueño was able to just quickly capitalize on that.
Yeah. What I thought was a great sub move, I had to think about it for a second, as like you're trying to hold on to the division title and you're making two sort of offensive substitutions as Fearing and Mena come in for Bernard, CB Rule, and Misael Harris. But as I sat with it for a little bit, and as I was working on our outline, it actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
like
fresh
when
legs,
I think
energy,
fresh legs. I mean, Misael's great, but he was not. Defense is not his strong suit. So getting Bernard in,
and he already did his job on the day.
Yep, totally. And getting Bernard in to be able to track back and forth with fresh legs, and then getting Tomas in, to kind of press up front. Elijah Fearing in for Harris to do the tracking back and the fresh legs of a really motivated and energetic young man. I thought Elijah did great in place of Misael for the last 20 minutes, and then you have Mena in for going in for on the other side for that sub, and it was like I think it was Bechtel maybe. And
again, another guy who did his job.
And then it was time for Tomas Mena to do the job that he's been doing all season.
Well, to top this game off, there was another red card. So the second yellow came for Michigan State center midfielder Charlie Norkett, who I thought had a fantastic day, super dangerous in the middle. He ultimately was double booked for what looked like a goal for Sueño, but was taken back because he thought that he would do his best hand of God impression, and literally, if you watch it back, just punches the ball in the corner of the goal. So there's that. But Norkett, I thought, was their engine room, and he gets removed. And at that point, Nate, I was looking at a trophy that I can drink beer out of.
Oh, for sure. I mean, once we're up a man and we're up 2 goals, it felt pretty good. Felt like it was going to happen, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're talking about man of the match for us, we're just going to call them top performers. You and I both agree that it literally could have been anyone on the field. But I'm just gonna pull out 4 players. I thought Sessler in goal made 3 huge saves that kept the scoreline at that 2-goal max that we needed. Obviously, Shea Bechtel putting the ball in the back of the net. I didn't write in the notes, but Ms. Harris having a great day offensively. Jake Swallen, I thought, Paul talked about it, just kind of out-thinking everyone and kind of popping up at the right times in the midfield to stop attacks. And then ultimately, who the citizens picked as man of the match and who was our player to watch, Curtis Wagner. I thought it was his best game in a City jersey. I thought that he put an absolute reducing tackle in the first half. One where I looked through the window at you and was like, oh man, totally clean, but just like goes in hard, sets the tone. I thought it was a really great day for Curtis.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. besides everyone. I also thought, I mean, Sessler had a couple of phenomenal saves as usual. What do you say about Shea Bechtel with 2 goals and an assist, and just putting the team on his shoulders? Curtis, of course, was my other one. I would have also said Masal Harris, just as the other goal scorer. I think no fear out of Masal Harris in this
really great game,
in this particular game, right? Like you're looking across the field at 11 Division I players basically, and he gave 0 shits and really took the game to him on the left wing. So props to Harris on this, and props to the entire team, man. That was it. Minneapolis City, first ever USL2 Heartland Division trophy. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, really great work.
And so, John, we're in uncharted territory. USL2 playoffs are kind of a new animal to us. So let's break it down before we get into who City will be running up against. So first of all, format. It's broken down into 4 conferences: the East, the Central, the Western, and the Southern Conference. And each of those conferences will play their first 2 games regionally, so that like Minneapolis City doesn't have to travel to San Francisco or something like that.
God, that would suck.
That would suck, which is fair. I think it's very fair, even though we get probably a very difficult draw. We'll talk about that in a second. The brackets are broken down and are made up of 32 teams across those 4 conferences. So first up, we'll start with the round of 32, and then it's the Sweet 16, and then on to the final 8, which is a much tougher task to tackle for a team, as then travel comes into play. And there's some familiar names, John, in this playoff field. You've got the Flint City Bucks. You've got our friends, the Little Rock Rangers. Vermont City, also our friends, even though we've never talked to anyone from Vermont City, we should. And our not friends, Des Moines Menace. So, John, first thing, we've got Peoria up. That's the first task. Finished second in the Great Plains Division, 25 points, 8 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. They had 29 goals for, and this is the eye-popping stat, 11 goals against. Now, the Great Plains Conference only has 6 teams, so to hit 12 games, each team plays 2 random teams, maybe 3 times, which works out great if you're the top 2 teams, not so great if you're in the bottom. Their conference is a little different than ours, where there's a lot of teams with like 12, 13 points just because they beat up on each other more than anything. But what do you know about Peoria, John?
Well, it's a friendly foe. We've seen them before. As the conference realignment worked itself out, they're just a strong side, Nate. We have a interesting history against them. 2 narrow defeats, and then we had a 2-2 draw. So we have yet to get that win against them, but we've seen that there are some teams that we face that for maybe a 4th time that we need to we step it up against, and maybe that's what we're doing here. You already talked a little bit about how they completed their 2025 season, but they were one of the top performers, coming in second in the Great Plains Division to powerhouse Des Moines Menace, who's on the other side of the weekend bracket. So you mentioned over the course of 12 matches, they really showcased some really impressive consistency. You mentioned they finished with 8 wins, 3 draws, and only that single loss to the ultimate champions in their division. Defensively, they have prowess. It's a major strength for them, like you mentioned, conceding those 11 goals, second best in the league, and they maintain a healthy plus 18 goal difference for pretty much the whole season. Offensively, they know how to score. They've also picked up a few mercenaries from other USL2 teams, which I don't think is something that they should allow, but teams do it. Ironically, some players reached out to us that are very, very good that said, I'm available for the playoffs, but that's not something that we would do. But as far as the 2025 campaign goes for Peoria City, constant, steady, resilient approach. They picked up results in tight matches all season. They demonstrated an ability to both control games, but also absorb the pressure and then counter and then get those late goals. So It's going to be a tough one. It really is. The match is Friday down in Des Moines Menace, at the Des Moines Menace. You and I have been to that stadium quite a few times, but they're hosting the Central Conference Final Four. Kickoff time is at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are not making the drive like Paul is, you can head on over to Sports Engine Play. Live stream will be up, and I guarantee you their live stream is a lot better than most teams. Or you can join the citizens over at the Corner Bar, get some Almost Famous Joy Wings for the watch party.
It's 3 p.m., John. It's 4 Eastern, so it's 3 p.m. Central.
Oh, excuse me.
Just checked.
3 p.m. Central.
Yep. Yep. So I'm excited. I'm going to be watching. I know you are.
Yep, absolutely. I'll be I'll be watching on my phone at the Yacht Club Music Festival while my wife is watching Sheryl Crow. Oh, buddy. Yep. So I'm gonna bring some earbuds and basically just listen to the City game. Just be a really great partner on that one.
Oh man, well that's going to do it for this week's show. Big thanks as always to our longtime sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. You got to hit them up for awesome prints and gear. I've got a couple of his posters on my wall right now and a couple of t-shirts in my drawer. Don't forget to use the code CROWS10 for 10% off. And remember, Minneapolis City is a 501c3, so your ticket or membership isn't just supporting soccer, it's helping a community-focused club that does things the right way. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter X at The People's Pitch or on Instagram at People's Pitch Podcast. Hey, you can check that out in our story. We've got John's appearance on KFan today. I highly, highly recommend
that was a good one.
Check that out. That was a good one. Or you can email us at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe you want to email us and ask, why did you get to go on KFan and not somebody from another team? And it's like, well, because Nordo's our friend. And follow the club at MPLS City SC wherever social media is found. Next week I hope we're going to be looking forward to the next round of the USL2 playoffs. I'll tell you that. But if we don't, we're going to be recapping all the playoff action and taking a look at what's going on with the Minnesota Super Cup, John.
Yeah, we got a final coming up real quick.
But until then,
get hooked.